Hello everybody and welcome to another Thursday Thinks. Today is all about have I failed my horse? So those of you who haven't met me before, my name's Marianne and I am the creator of Naturally Willa, which is a source of information to help you to heal your horse, mind, body and soul naturally. Now today I'm in a different location. Welcome to the conservatory. It just felt like a better place to be. I'm sat on the floor, so I'm happy. I like being sat on the floor. It's grounding for me. And as you can hear, we've got the fountain outside and yeah, trees. So I'm happy. Let me know if you like this location. Probably won't be the best one for the winter, but here we are. Now, for those of you who saw my last Thursday Think last week, which was all about the Olympic horses. That was before the whole thing about the German team coach came out. Now, my views on that are that it's not something that I would agree to whatsoever, and not something that I would back. You should never do that to horses. And if the person do that to Olympic horse in the front of that millions of people, what can they do to the horse at home? So it was what I was alluding to in my last video, and obviously it came to a point in the Olympics. But let's put that to the side and talk about today's topic. So today's topic is, have I failed my horse? Now, in this situation, I am talking about Egypt. So those of you who know who Egypt is, he's my Cob Cross, come from the Blue Cross, and he is 5 this year. He has issues with his lungs in the summer months, and he can be coughing, he's spluttering, he's having problems breathing. When he's probably should be charging around having a world of a time, instead he's in the corner coughing his lungs up. So it's something that has slowly progressed over the summer months, over the years. So a couple of years ago, he was just the old cough here and there. It's like, oh, is Egypt coughing? Oh, wonder why he's doing that. You know, you just a pathetic little cough, sort of like you got something stuck in your throat, sort of thing. Whereas last year it was full on. He can barely breathe, and we had to have the vets out, and he had a tracheal wash, and that's where they took us. They sedate him, put a syringe down his, a tube down his throat, and do a test to see what is in his lungs. Is it a bacteria? Is it a virus? Is it just pure inflammation? Turned out it's just pure inflammation. So they said, oh, it's just seasonal asthma. So this year, in preparation for helping him out, if you're in the Facebook group, you'll have seen this. I got some of the Hilton Herbs Shake No More Gold liquid, which has helped him this year because I started giving it to him before any symptoms started to rise. So it means he's been keeping him at a low level this year, which has been really, really good. However, when the hay started to be made all around us and then we were making our own, his lungs flared up quite severely. He was coughing, he was spluttering. I was having to give him some of the steroids that I had left over from last year just to get his lungs to calm down, because sometimes it was really, really not pretty. So I've also been trying him on various other things. If you're in the Facebook group, you'll have seen what I've tried out. It's just a bit of trial and error because I've never come across this before, and I just needed to figure it out, and I'm still figuring it out. Now, the reason why I've had the odd thought here and there of, oh my God, I failed him, is because I've now got the vets involved in a different way. I bought him a spacer, a child spacer, which, if your child's got asthma, you know what it is, but it's effectively like a thick tube, like a tube thingy, like that. And at one end you put an inhaler, and the other end has got a mask on, so you put it over the horse's nostril and you compress the inhaler when he's breathing in, so that he can then take an inhaler effectively. And it felt as though I'd failed because that's involving steroids, which are quite severe on the system. And I always said I'd rather be able to manage him holistically with herbs and things like that. But I've always got to keep in mind that the vets are there for a reason. And whilst I am all about the natural remedies and having the plants and herbs available to the horse at all times so that they can self-medicate, I still don't know which ones that he needs, and I'm still trying to figure that out. And it shouldn't adversely affect him because I can't figure it out or because I haven't got there yet. So for his own comfort, it's something that I'm working with the vet towards. So what he'll have is probably 2 inhalers. One is a bronchial dilator and the other one is a mild steroid. Now, these are not going to be things that I'm going to be using every day. It's something that is only going to be there for when he has a bad flare-up, which I've spoken to the vet about, and she completely agrees. She's agreed with my approach throughout this year so far and said it's a really good approach. You know, you're managing him without having to spend a load of money on drugs, and not having to get the vet out every 2 minutes because he's having a flare-up and we haven't got the right medication for him. Instead, it's a case of giving him the medication when he needs it. And that is something that I agree to, and I'm going to support his body throughout those times when he does have the medication. And that's something that I can do. That's something that I've done time and time again, so that their bodies cope with it, so that they feel comfortable, so that it doesn't affect their digestive system or has a very limited adverse effect. Because whilst medications are great and helpful, sometimes the quantity isn't entirely right, because every body, every person, every animal is different. Their bodies metabolize things differently. Their bodies need certain things in certain quantities which are different to another horse of that weight. Or, you know, there's so many factors within each body that cannot be calibrated for. So you've got these general things of a horse of this weight needs this amount, the horse of that weight needs this amount. So whilst I know that's understandable of why vets have things that way, and pharmaceutical companies make things that way, for not only for animals but also humans, but the body needs help to utilise it in the best way. So that's why I get my mint out, so that their stomachs, it lies their stomach, and their stomach is running as optimally as possible and is supported so that it can take in what it needs without the drug, whatever, affecting the stomach lining, which it can do. And then supporting the body throughout so that the liver's functioning as best it can. And my foot's falling asleep, oh my god. So supporting the liver as well, so making sure that it's functioning as best that it can, so that it can process any of the waste products so that nothing actually builds up inside the body. So this is something that I know that I can support him through going forward. But my learning and helping him with his lungs is something that's going to be ongoing. It's something that's going to change year on year, and I cannot praise Hilton Herbs enough for the impact that their Shape No More Gold has had on his lungs, which is, you know, amazing. And he's been so much more comfortable this year because of that liquid. I mean, he only has 20 mils of it, but that's enough to help him to not be coughing his lungs up, which is awesome. So, as I said, alright, so I know there's a lot of so's. Let me sit down. Oh, I've lost myself on Facebook. Right, I'm off my feet. You can see my halo. Ignore the fact you can see my halo on Facebook, but we do what we do. So again, I like my so's. I've not done much work with him recently, obviously because of his lungs, and it's not something that I want to upset him with, because if he gets stressed out, his lungs start to act up, which means he then starts coughing, which means then he's miserable, which means that I'm miserable as well, because I feed off of his energy, he feeds off mine. We're very, very symbiotic in that way, which is absolutely amazing when it's going right, but it's not going right at the moment, and I don't want to be upsetting our bond, our relationship, by doing anything with him, like trying to sit on him. You know, I have done it because I need him to know that sometimes I know that you're not going to be okay, but for the odd safety reasons, sometimes I may have to sit on you when it's uncomfortable for you. And that is something that he has settled into. And when I say sit on him, all I do is park myself on his back in the best place that I can find that doesn't affect his lungs. And all I ask him to do is stand there and relax into it. And as soon as his head drops and he goes, oh, okay, you're not asking anything of me, you just asked me to stand here, I get off. Because that's all I need him to do to find the relaxation. But it does mean that over the summer months when we could have been going out hiking and getting our confidence out on the roads, and I could have been getting the confidence riding him, I haven't been able to do that because his lungs haven't been in the right place. He hasn't been comfortable, and I don't want to do that to him. So it has put a dampener on our side of things, but also just because I haven't been working doesn't mean that things haven't gone well. He knows that I'm helping him. He knows that I'm doing everything I can, and as soon as he starts having a coughing fit I know the tone of a cough where he needs help, and I go running, and I do mean running. I drop everything. If I'm with my mother, I'm like, take it, whatever's in my hand, just go, and I'm gone. And I'm there patting his chest to make sure there's nothing lodged in his throat. I'm rubbing him whether he tells me to. And when everything's calmed down and he's stopped having a coughing fit, I'm massaging the muscles around his chest so that it doesn't feel as uncomfortable and those muscles relax. So I'm doing everything I can for him, and he knows that, which is why I think our relationship has changed, and the trust that I have in him and being around him has just skyrocketed, because he's not up my butt as I'm running down the field, because he's not behind me having a hissy fit because I am giving him that net fast enough, or he's got Pagan next to him going, that's my net, and she's like, no, that's my net. Because the relationship has developed, it means that I have the confidence that when I do eventually get back on him, that it's going to be okay. And although we haven't been working together, what we have been doing has been beneficial. So it's going to be a hard journey, I think. It's going to be a long journey, and it's going to be one that is going to be not going to be easy, because according to the vet, these sort of things cause scarring on the lungs. So year on year where he's having these coughing fits and there's inflammation, it's damaging his lungs on a permanent basis, which is also another reason why I've gone, you know what, this is for your best option at the moment, to have this inhaler so that I can help you when times are bad. It's with that in mind, because I don't want there to be so much scarring in his lungs that he can't breathe when there's no inflammation there in the winter when he's generally okay. And obviously the less scarring there is, the longer his life is going to be, which I have hopes that I've told him he's going well into his 30s. You know, I'm going to be well into my 60s by the time he snuffs it. Him, Pagan and Spring, they've got their orders. Actually, all of them do. Every single one of my horses has been told they've got to get into their 30s. Now, Princess achieved that. The Major is a year off that. So, and he's going really, really well. So that is my goal for my horses. Well into your 30s, and I know that I've done my job properly. So that is also in my mind when I'm thinking about getting the vets involved. Now, when I get the vets involved, I do have to have conversations of, look, I've done this by this herb, I've done this by that herb. I try to be as transparent as possible, because I know that then it gives them an idea that I've tried things, and I can explain why I've tried what I've tried. It also gives them an idea that I do question things, and I do things just that little bit differently to everybody. It's not a case of them saying, right, they need these steroids, here you go. It'll be a case of, right, you think they need the steroids, okay, how often does he definitely need it? When do I need to be looking at it? Okay, when I'm feeding him this, I'll also be giving him blah 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 for this reason, that reason, that reason. So it creates a relationship, creates a rapport, if you like, so that they understand the approach that I'm doing, so they can understand why I won't just be mindlessly going, yeah, that's fine, and then possibly giving up on a few things. Or when I've stopped things, I can succinctly say why, and succinctly tell them what I've done as an alternative. And that has actually been really, really helpful in creating that relationship, maintaining that relationship. And it's actually created a few conversations as well. It's like, I told the vet that obviously Egypt's on the Paddle Paradise track system, so he's on hay all year round, because she was all, well, there's a risk of laminitis or increased risk of laminitis with the steroid inhalers. I mean, that's not a problem, Paddle Paradise, hay all year round. And she went, oh, that might be a bit of an issue. Like, oh, no, it won't be. Obviously, I know she's going down the route of, oh, he's having hay, oh, it's dusty, COPD. I'm like, nah. Because I know that I've already tried wetting down his hay. I've tried removing the dust. We did that last year when he was really, really bad and had no impact whatsoever. And I can say that, I can back up my point of view on that situation. And I can show her, look, he's having a drink, there he goes coughing. If I give him this bit of grass, there he goes coughing. Anything that goes down his throat causes him to cough. So she's actually got a really interesting thought in that the fact she says it's probably not seasonal asthma, because seasonal asthma only usually shows up in horses when they're 8 years old and over. And obviously he's only just coming up to 5, and he had it last year. So she's thinking of other things that it could be, so that maybe going forward we've got other options, which would be nice, because, you know, being told that your horse has got seasonal asthma and it flares up at the time of year when you're most likely to be doing things, you know, when he's older, I'd love to be going on a fun ride, and just taking him out and having fun and showing him the world and experiencing the world through his eyes. Because we've got plans for when Pagan's older as well, and my mother will ride Pagan, I'll ride Egypt, and we'll go places and have fun and just get lost somewhere. And I really want to experience those, but I can't do that with a horse that isn't comfortable with me just being sat on his back, let alone going anywhere and doing anything at speed. Egypt loves speed. He loves charging about, you know. If you've seen the video that went up on Wednesday, it's the one where horses playing in an open field, and he just belts at you. You see him take off. You know, check those out if you're really interested, because it's a great video anyway, because you see all the horses charging about when I've opened up all the gates to all the fields. But you can see that he likes charging about, and that's at low level from this year. Imagine what he was like when he was a baby, being set free. He's more like what you see Springs a bit Shetland charging around. He would have been with her and encouraged her to go further, faster. But this year he couldn't, because of his lungs. So again, that makes me feel like I failed, because he hasn't been who he should be this summer because of his lungs. And that does make me feel bad, But I always take into consideration the fact that he's better than he was last year, and that's mostly down to a herbal remedy. Yes, I have given him steroids this year, but at an extremely low dose that shouldn't really have probably affected him that much, because I think it was about a third of the level that he's supposed to have, but it stopped it for 3 days, and then he started to get worse again. And I think they only did it about 3 times. So, and that's only in the last like 3 weeks. And that's once a week for the past 3, 4 weeks, maybe. And the rest of it's been herbal. So that makes me feel better. It does. But I'm still having to rely on the vet. But I have to also be aware that the way I do things is preventative. It's not curative. I'm not there replacing the vet. That is not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to stop situations so that the vet doesn't have to be called in the first place, which I've mostly managed to achieve with Egypt this year. So what I'm doing is working to an extent. I just need to find out the missing pieces of the puzzle so that I can fill in that last little section. And that's something that I'm going to continue working on. That is my goal for the next year. While I may not be able to figure it out to help Egypt out this year, because we're mostly all the way through, it might be something that I can develop next year. And then maybe the spacer and the inhalers are something that might not be needed next year. But if they are needed, they're going to be there, so that I have more time with Egypt, so that I have more scope to figure out what it is that he actually needs, the missing piece of the puzzle to help him and his lungs, so that they don't become an issue. So have I failed? No. But like everybody else, sometimes I feel like I do, and I just remind myself that there are positives. So that's me for this week. Nelly has the suggestion of talking about horse teeth at the dentist for next week, so I'll be putting that up. So make sure that you've hit your RSVP. That's the one. When I send out the invites through Facebook. If you're on Instagram, connect with me and I will send you an invite to it so that you can watch it live. Obviously, if you watch it on replay, then say hello and let me know what you thought of these. I am just going to publish that one. I've put up a few polls, so make sure that you've taken part in those and let me know what your answers to those polls are in the Facebook page and Facebook group. And also, I know I've mentioned the YouTube channel, but don't forget to subscribe over there so you get told when the next videos come up. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you get a notification of all future videos. Join the Facebook like the Facebook page, join the Facebook group, and check us out on Instagram, _Willa, for virtually daily updates on the herd. I'm losing my light if you're on the Facebook group. And so I will leave it there this week, and I will see you all next week. Bye!